nice. But we got a hops to it today.
We got a hops to it. All right.
Or else the customers will say, "What's ailing us?" Do you know what the lowest form of humor is?
No.
Sarcasm.
Yeah.
You know what the second lowest is?
What?
Puns.
Yeah.
Then slapstick. We should do a whole video on the hierarchy of humor.
I love puns. I think like 90% of beer marketing and naming is puns anymore.
That's
so
true.
you've really got to have a strong game on that.
You do. It's true. But the feast day of St. Patrick is nigh upon us, sir.
Yes, it is. Yea, verily.
You know what that means. We're going to try some dry stout, also called Irish stout.
Irish stout, yeah.
And Irish red ale.
Excellent.
From two breweries, one in Columbia and one in Gaithersburg, Maryland, Elder Pine, which I've heard a lot about of, but I've never had one of their beers.
Yeah, same here. I know that I've had a Black Flag before, brewing company, I believe. I'm not sure. There's so much out there. I lose track once I get out of Delaware. So
let me get rid of some of this other stuff first. Do some housekeeping before we go. That bottle of wine there is there to remind me. That was a bottle of wine that Pete made. Okay. From our fresh wine juice sale.
Oh yeah.
Time. It was good stuff. The fresh wine juice. You've made some.
I did. Yeah, I did last fall. I got Barbera. I got some Alicante. It came out pretty well. Yeah. My first attempt at making wine after almost a decade and a half making beer. So
it was nice. We had it at the wine class, and I thought it was very nice. It was good. The other thing is, I don't have. Well, Kim Gambrinus can represent this thing. Yeah. It's the grain sale coming up.
Yeah.
So the grain sale is going to start in March. Mm-hmm. Started March 10th last year. It'll probably be around then. For full packed bags of grain, it may be a little bit fewer grains on offer than last year because there's kind of a confluence of things going on. There was a bad grain crop for one thing, so that's driven prices up on some of the things. So it's going to be hard to include those in the sale price. But with transportation and other things, we want to be able to have the grain sale. We know that's a big thing that some people really look forward to each year, but we want to make sure that we stay in business, obviously, as usual.
Well, we're going to get a lot of base malt, right?
Yeah.
Like, tons of Pilsner, lots of two rows, various German, American stuff.
Base,
so stock up on all your base malts, and then as you need to get your adjuncts as you brew, come on in and get a little bit at a time. Who needs, what home brewer needs 55 pounds of Crystal 90 anyway? So. That's right. Somebody does. But that's going to be
more information on that coming up. But here's the breaking news, dude.
Okay.
The Battle of the Homebrew Clubs.
Yep.
The dates for that. We already know those. This is not breaking. March 28th. You got a lot of time to sign up. Just go online, sign up. You need your beer here by April 3rd. Still plenty of time.
Yeah. You could make it between now and then.
That's right. You can still come in, get some ingredients, and make it. May 7th, we'll be announcing the winners. Everybody joins, can enter as an individual. Yeah. But note what homebrew club you're affiliated with, and those top 3 scores we'll have a winner homebrew club at that May 7th event. That's going to be the opening of the store in Smyrna, hopefully.
Now, if you're not affiliated with a homebrew club, can you just make up a club name and enter as your own club?
If you have three friends and you all brew a different beer.
Excellent. Great.
We're not going to be checking anybody's LLC certifications.
Right, yeah.
We're not like that.
We're not checking in with the Facebook groups to make sure you're with this homebrew club.
But do that if you're unaffiliated, because here's why. One of the prizes for the homebrew club, just confirmed, is going to be a June private exclusive tour of Imperial Yeast in Philadelphia.
Oh, whoa, that is awesome.
It's cool. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, that's going to be great.
The Imperial Yeast is rolling out their homebrew size packages this year. Yeah. And we're invited to bring our winning homebrew club up to Philadelphia and tour them and hang out with them and ask them questions. So super excited about that. Yeah. So that's the news.
Brew a great beer, win a trip. That's what I heard.
It'll probably be, I don't know, the details haven't been worked out yet. Maybe a van, maybe we get, everybody has to do their own transportation. I don't know. Yeah. But the whole idea of touring the Imperial facility and getting to know those guys is going to be awesome.
With their homebrews, that's exciting for us. We should be able to carry more selection of Imperial yeast, hopefully at a better price.
Absolutely.
That's great.
Absolutely. The cross-country transportation is the thing that's been driving up yeast for us a lot. So that's going to be awesome. And they're not going to have like everything available out of Philadelphia right away, but sooner or later.
Ramp it up. See if they can go to a graveyard somewhere in North Philly and find another new yeast strain like they did with Philly Sour.
That's right. So shall we start with? We're going to start with this elder pine.
Yeah, let's try
dry
some stout.
And
now, stout is what we're going to be making at our next homebrew class, our next learn to homebrew class.
That's right. So, what should we? From a elder pine, I think Gaithersburg, Maryland. And what should we know about stouts as we get ready to brew our own? If we use this as a sample.
Yeah, so stout is a pretty big term. Stout porter is the full name of it, and they're really a porter, which is also an ale. So, as with all things and all beer styles, there's a lot of overlapping Venn diagrams.
Yeah.
But the dry Irish stout style, dry as the name implies, so not a whole lot of malt sweetness. Very little hop character and aroma, if any, just enough to kind of balance the flavor. But their main smell and their main flavor is going to be those dry roasted malts, almost coffee-like, really dark chocolate, kind of like a burnt flavor, and then they're going to have a very like creamy texture to them. Not a whole lot of carbonation. Usually they're done with nitrogen. I mean, all these cans are carbonated, but when poured from draft, it's usually nitrogen, so that it's a really smooth, creamy tasting beer. And I saw this one as an extra stout, but typically if you're doing a straight Irish stout, it's going to be on the lower end of alcohol. I think, what was this one, like 6 or something? But it's very good, by the way.
It is, and I like the level of carbonation. It's very light, and that's sort of like on style for it. This is a 7, which it's funny thing about like, Guinness is the 800-pound gorilla in the category.
Right. Yeah.
And I think it's rare when like a big commercial beer is still like really good in the category.
Yeah.
And Guinness I think holds that spot because
I think they defined it. I think they defined the genre of Irish stout. What was I reading? They started in the late 1700s, I think, moved to Ireland, started brewing porters, and the name stout porter sort of came into being as Guinness came up. So they are still the standard. Yeah. Sure, there's some that I like better, but I think they are the standard at least.
The thing about stouts too that I think is interesting is that, especially not an extra like this one, but a regular stout it's a light beer in a lot of ways. It's light alcohol. It has less carbs. Yeah. Like it almost compares to in like without the darkness. It's a very, very light. But some people are kind of like nervous about how dark it is. Like it's going to be too much or too overwhelming. And if you're not familiar with the beer style, you go, wow, that seems like a lot, but it's really not.
No, it isn't. And I think it's just that mostly it's got a very intense flavor on the dry end. I mean, it's almost like drinking coffee. It feels like without the caffeine and it's cold and it's carbonated. So not at all like coffee, but just like coffee.
But it lends itself to for especially craft brewers who do like a coffee or a latte. If you go to State Line, it's hard to find just like a regular stout other than Guinness. And it is. Even though it's an extra stout, it's pretty much as close as I can come because everything else is, a lot of bells and whistles, which is fine. Yeah. But sometimes you want just a regular stout.
Absolutely, and I think the style of that, maybe intense grain bitterness of the coffee, I think it lends itself well to flavors like chocolate or coconut or nutty. I mean, I don't think a chocolate flavor would come across very well in an IPA, for example.
Right.
So it's a really good basis for a lot of those other flavors and a lot of these other things you can do to it. Yeah. I'm doing the thing I said I would never do. I got a couple packets of Thin Mints, Girl Scout cookies, and I'm gonna make an imperial stout that I'm gonna age on Girl Scout cookies. Why not?
When I was at State Line, I almost said we got to do a Girl Scout cookie episode. That's like beers, all the Girl Scout cookie beers from around the country.
Yeah, I'm gonna try it. Why not? It'll be good. I like Thin Mints. I like stouts. So.
And so our next one, in keeping with the St. Patrick's Day, when we have our next class, is going to be an Irish red ale. Yep. And that's similar to other ales in the British Isles that are, but what unique? What's special about it?
Irish reds are a bit on the dry side as well, just like Irish stouts. To sort of nail that category, if you're brewing for a competition, it'll have the appearance of like an amber ale or I tend to think of Fat Tire as sort of a benchmark for what an amber is. It's very malty. It's very sweet. Irish Reds are not at all. We're not as much malty or as sweet. They're going to have the same color appearance, but they'll achieve that with less caramelized malts. Just sort of bring the color down a little bit to get that. It's not the same as a stout. The texture is going to be a little bit on the lighter side, and you're not going to have as much intense bitterness. But
this is a nice one. It's Black Flag Brewing. Is it Columbia or Gaithersburg? I keep mixing those up. But this doesn't look as copper or gold or red as you would expect. But this is just tiny glass. It's not great glass for should be in a pint glass and have some sunlight.
A nice tulip glass and underlit.
So, on the British ales, in British Isles, it seems like, from my observation, there's just not a lot of fancy business with yeast. It's just like a clean, SO4. You don't get, like in Belgium, yeast, so much of what you're going to taste eventually is from the yeast. And this, it's like trying not to be a very visible part of the beer, just like the hops isn't very visible.
True.
And it's more about in this case, little maltiness or the roasted malts.
Yeah, it's about the roasted malts, and I think it's about just I don't want to say basic, I don't want to say anything like that, but like a very clean, standard taste, just to pump out a lot of it and keep it moving to the factory workers. And the history of porters were for beer for porters at the shipyards, and it was made with grains that they could get a hold of. It wasn't really meant to be this like really high-end, clean, beautiful beer. It was churn this beer out so when they get off at 4 o'clock they can come and have a pint or 12, and it's about 4% is where those started, and it kind of went from there. But there's a lot of great British styles out there, and I think the cleanliness and the sort of repeatability of them is one of the things that's really great about it.
That's good. We can leave it at there. Thank you, Alan, and
cheers.
Good luck on your next class. I'm sure it's going to be fun. It happens to be on St. Patrick's.
It does, and we're going to go to Autumn March as well, and we're going to get some even more professional advice and knowledge. So it should be a great time. Yeah,
good. Just quick recap. Enter the Homebrew Battle of Homebrew Clubs. Bulk grain sales coming up, and get your bucket of wine, fresh wine juice.
Fresh wine juice
coming out great.
Follow us on Instagram and follow us on Facebook.
I always forget that, but I guess subscribe to this channel.
Yeah, it'll be here. We're going to put a link here at some point with our Instagram and our Facebook.
We're getting there. It's sort of making baby steps. If I finish these couple beers, I'll probably be all over.